What if everything you've been taught about creating your reality has been backwards? What if, instead of chasing your dreams out there in the physical world, the real work happens in a dimension most people never learn to access, a field of infinite possibilities where your future is already waiting for you? Here's the truth that might shake everything you thought you knew. Your mind isn't reacting to reality. Your mind is creating it. Right now, in this very moment, your consciousness is operating like a silent broadcasting station, projecting tomorrow's experiences before they ever materialize in the physical world. And the most extraordinary part? Science is finally catching up to what mystics and spiritual teachers have known for centuries. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, I want you to think about something for a moment. Has this ever happened to you? You desperately want something, more abundance, a loving relationship, better health, or freedom, and you try everything. You visualize, you affirm, you create vision boards, you follow all the manifestation techniques you can find. And yet, nothing changes. Or worse, things seem to move in the opposite direction. The reason this happens isn't because manifestation doesn't work. It's because you've been trying to manifest from the wrong place. You see, there's a quantum field that exists all around you, an invisible matrix of pure potentiality where every possible version of your life already exists. Florence Scovel, one of the most brilliant minds in metaphysical teaching, understood this over a century ago. She recognized that we're not living in an objective, fixed reality. We're living inside a projection, a holographic construct shaped entirely by our inner mental structure. The world you perceive isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. This is where most people get stuck. They think manifestation is about wanting something hard enough, or visualizing clearly enough, or taking enough action in the external world. But here's what they miss. The quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. It responds to your energetic identity, the vibrational signature. You're broadcasting every single second of every single day. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform how you approach creating your reality. There's a specific mental technique, one that works with the actual mechanics of consciousness and quantum physics, that allows you to instantly access this field of infinite possibilities. Not theoretically, not someday, but right now, in real time. When you understand how to consciously enter the quantum field, something remarkable happens. You stop being a passive observer of your life and become the conscious architect. Your brain, which is already a sophisticated future simulator, begins to reorganize itself around the reality you've chosen. Neural pathways shift. Perceptual filters update. Your entire internal operating system recalibrates to match a new frequency. And here's where it gets truly fascinating. Your brain is doing something absolutely extraordinary right now, and most people have no idea it's happening. Neuroscientists have discovered something that sounds like science fiction, but is actually documented, measurable reality. Your brain doesn't just passively observe the world around you. It's actively constructing your future in real time, running simulations of what's about to happen before it ever occurs. In laboratory studies using functional MRI technology, researchers observed something that defies our conventional understanding of time. Participants' brains began firing and activating up to 15 seconds before an event actually took place. 15 seconds. Think about that for a moment. Your neural system is already responding to experiences that haven't physically manifested yet, as if it somehow knows what's coming before it arrives. This isn't some mystical concept divorced from science. This is predictive coding, a fundamental mechanism of how consciousness operates. Your mind is constantly forecasting, anticipating, preparing for what comes next based on the internal model you're running. And here's the transformation that happens when you truly grasp this. You don't have to wait for circumstances to shift in the external world before you can respond differently. You can actually reprogram the simulator itself. You can feed your brain a new blueprint, a new expectation, a new model of reality, and it will begin bending your perception, your decisions, your actions, and ultimately your experiences toward that new simulation. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that now. This channel delivers practical consciousness work and real manifestation techniques that actually transform your reality. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. But there's a hidden truth here that most manifestation teachings completely miss. And it's the reason so many people stay stuck despite their best efforts. You might be saying affirmations every morning, visualizing your ideal life, taking action toward your goals, and still feeling like you're pushing against an invisible wall. The impact you're looking for never arrives. And the frustration builds because you're doing everything you've been told to do. Here's what's actually happening behind the scenes. Your subconscious mind, which controls approximately 95% of your thoughts, behaviors, and automatic responses, isn't listening to what you want. It's only listening to who you believe you are. This is the journey every person must take if they want real transformation. The subconscious doesn't respond to desire. It responds to identity. When you say, "I want more money," but your deeper identity is still coded as someone who struggles financially, as someone who never has enough, as someone for whom abundance is always just out of reach, then that's the signal your entire neural system organizes around. The universe, the quantum field, your own perceptual filters, they all align with your dominant identity, not your stated wishes. It's not about wanting prosperity. It's about being prosperous. It's not about wanting love. It's about being someone who is already loved, already whole, already complete. The revelation here changes everything. True manifestation isn't an external pursuit. It's an internal expression. You stop trying to obtain something from the outside world and start embodying the reality you desire from within. Your entire energetic signature shifts. Your decisions change. Your posture changes. The way you speak, think, and move through the world transforms because you're no longer pretending or hoping. You're simply being the version of yourself that already lives in that reality. Now, I want to go even deeper into this because there's a specific state of consciousness where this reprogramming becomes almost effortless, where your mind becomes incredibly receptive to new patterns and new identities. Write in the comments, "I am already this person." There's a doorway that opens every single night, and most people pass through it completely unconscious, never realizing they're walking past the most powerful opportunity for transformation that exists. I'm talking about those delicate moments right before you fall asleep, that twilight zone where your mind starts to drift, where thoughts become softer, where the boundary between waking and dreaming begins to dissolve. Scientists call this the hypnagogic state. And it's during this precise window that something remarkable happens in your brain. Your neural activity shifts from the rapid beta waves of conscious thought into the slower, deeper rhythms of alpha and theta frequencies. This is the same brainwave pattern observed in young children when their minds are like sponges, absorbing everything without resistance or filter. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. It helps more people discover this content and lets me know this message is landing the way it should. Florence Scovel recognized the hidden truth about this state, long before modern neuroscience could measure it. She understood that in these moments, your subconscious mind becomes extraordinarily receptive, almost defenseless against new programming. The critical faculty that normally guards your beliefs and identity relaxes. The walls come down. And whatever you plant in this fertile soil of consciousness takes root with incredible power because your subconscious doesn't analyze or judge what's real versus what's imagined. It only registers emotional intensity and repetition. This means that what you think, feel, and visualize in this specific window doesn't just become a pleasant dream. It becomes the architectural blueprint for your next reality. But here's where most people miss the impact of this revelation. They might visualize before bed in a vague, unfocused way, or they fall asleep, replaying the problems and frustrations of their day, essentially programming their subconscious to create more of the same. The journey into the quantum field requires precision. It requires bringing together three essential elements that, when combined, create an unstoppable force of manifestation. First, you need crystal clear intention. This is your compass, your focused direction, the specific reality you're choosing to access. Without clarity, you're just wandering in possibility with no destination. Second, you need emotion, and this is your fuel, the energetic charge that makes the whole process come alive. Visualization without feeling is like trying to start a car without gasoline. It's the emotional component that signals to your subconscious that this matters, that this is real, that this deserves attention and action. And third, you need vivid, detailed visualization. This becomes your script, the sensory-rich experience that tells your mind exactly what reality you're stepping into. When these three forces converge during the hypnagogic state, something extraordinary occurs. You're no longer simply imagining a better future. You're actively programming your neural system to construct a new timeline. The technique itself is elegantly simple, yet profoundly powerful. As you lie down and feel yourself beginning to drift, you bring to mind the version of your life you've chosen to live. Not as something distant or someday, but as if it's happening right now, in this present moment. You see yourself in that reality with such detail that it becomes textured, tangible, real. Where are you? What does the space around you look like? Who's there with you? What are you wearing? How do you move? And more than anything, you feel it. The pride, the confidence, the deep satisfaction, the peace, the joy of being that person, living that life. You don't think about it. You become it. You assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, as if the transformation has already occurred. This is the behind-the-scenes work that creates miracles in the physical world. This is how you step through the doorway. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "I'm ready to reprogram." Now let me guide you through a mental experience that might sound abstract at first, but becomes powerfully real when you actually do it. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself standing in a space that exists beyond physical location. A dimensional terminal, a junction point where infinite versions of your life branch out in every direction. This isn't fantasy. This is a visualization technique that leverages how your brain processes possibility. In this mental space, you can see doorways, portals, each one representing a different timeline, a different version of you who made different decisions, took different paths, lives in different circumstances. Some of these versions are struggling. Some are comfortable, but unfulfilled. And somewhere in this terminal, there's one that's glowing, pulsing with energy, calling to you, the timeline where you're already living the reality you desire. What makes this technique so powerful is that you're not just passively imagining, you're actively selecting. You visualize yourself walking toward that portal, and as you do, you see something that looks like a quantum train, a vehicle that represents your consciousness moving through layers of reality. You step aboard, and as this train moves, you begin to witness the transformation happening in real time. You see your future self with such clarity that it stops being future and starts being now. The details matter here. Where do you live in this reality? What does your home look like? How do you dress? How do you carry yourself? Who's standing beside you? What conversations are you having? But the real magic, the hidden mechanism that makes this work, isn't in the visual details. It's in the feeling. You must feel the pride of being that person, the confidence, the deep inner peace, the quiet knowing that everything is exactly as it should be. This emotional involvement is what transforms simple visualization into actual neural simulation. Your brain begins treating this as a lived experience, encoding it as memory, as identity, as truth. And here's what nobody tells you about this journey. When you start doing this work consistently, reality begins to behave strangely. You might notice small things at first, unusual coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. a song playing that speaks directly to what you were just thinking. Running into someone you haven't seen in years at the exact moment you need there. Specific expertise. Déjà vu experiences that feel like you've lived this moment before, because in a way, you have. In your mental rehearsals, in your quantum simulations. But alongside these synchronicities, something else happens that can feel unsettling if you don't understand what's occurring behind the scenes. You might start feeling inner discomfort, restlessness, a strange dissatisfaction with things that used to feel normal. People in your life might suddenly drift away without conflict. Or drama, just a natural fading. Opportunities you thought were important might dissolve. Habits that once gave you comfort might lose their appeal entirely. This isn't a mistake. This is evidence that your old reality is collapsing. When you reprogram your mind with a new vibrational identity, the energetic field that was holding your previous life together begins to weaken and fragment. The universe is performing what I call a vibrational cleanup, removing people, situations, and patterns that no longer match the frequency you're now broadcasting. It's not punishment. It's recalibration. It's the natural consequence of transformation. Your old self is dissolving to make space for the new one to fully emerge. The impact of this phase can feel like standing between two worlds, and that's exactly what's happening. You're in transition, and the journey through transition requires one critical decision. You must trust the process even when external evidence hasn't caught up yet. If you're experiencing this right now, put in the comments, "I trust the collapse." This in-between space, this threshold you're crossing, is where most people abandon the journey because they interpret the discomfort as evidence that something's gone wrong. But I need you to understand what's actually happening here. You're living in two frequencies simultaneously. Your old reality hasn't completely released its grip yet, and your new reality hasn't fully solidified into physical form. It's like standing with one foot in a boat and one foot on the dock. There's this uncomfortable tension, this sense of not quite belonging anywhere. You might notice what I call micro-perceptual jumps, these subtle sensations that reality itself has shifted slightly. Maybe you walk into a room and something feels different, even though nothing has physically changed. Or you have a memory of a conversation that others don't recall the same way. Or you catch yourself responding to situations in ways that surprise you. As if someone else is speaking through you, someone wiser, calmer, more aligned. These aren't signs that you're losing touch with reality. These are signs that your mind is updating the operating system, synchronizing your perception with the new inner frequency you've been broadcasting. Behind the scenes, your brain is literally rewiring itself, forming new neural pathways, dissolving old patterns, recalibrating your sensory filters to match the identity you've been rehearsing in the quantum field. The hidden truth that changes everything is this: the chaos is necessary. The old reality must unravel completely before the new one can stabilize. If you resist this process, if you panic and try to grip onto what's dissolving, you create internal conflict that slows down the transformation. But if you trust it, if you allow the collapse to happen naturally, you create space for something entirely new to emerge. The impact of this understanding is profound because it shifts you from fear into acceptance, from resistance into flow. Now here's where the real work begins, and it's the part that determines whether your quantum leap becomes a permanent shift or just a temporary peak experience. True transformation doesn't happen in the meditation itself. It happens in the mundane moments afterward, in how you show up the next morning, in the decisions you make when no one's watching, in the way you respond when life tests whether you've actually changed. This is what I call anchoring, your new timeline, and it's the difference between people who talk about manifestation and people who actually live it. Anchoring means you stop performing your old identity. You stop defaulting to the familiar patterns, the habitual reactions, the comfortable but limiting ways of being. Instead, you respond to every situation as if you already are the person you visualized in the quantum field. This shows up in surprisingly practical ways. It's in your body language, how you stand, how you walk, the energy you carry. It's in your words, not just what you say, but the tone, the certainty behind it. It's in your decisions, choosing the option that aligns with your new identity, even when the old you would have played it safe. Every morning becomes a renewal ceremony where you consciously reaffirm who you are now, not who you used to be. You might dress differently, not because you're pretending, but because your new self naturally expresses differently. You maintain what I call silent certainty, an inner knowing that doesn't need external validation or constant reassurance. You're not anxiously checking whether it's working. You're simply being it, living it, breathing it, until it becomes so natural that you forget you ever lived any other way. The universe, the quantum field, doesn't respond to your desperation or your hoping or your wishing. It responds to your energetic consistency, to the vibrational frequency you maintain day after day until it's no longer something you do, but something you are. If you're committed to this path, right, I anchor my new frequency now. So here we are. You've just walked through a complete framework for accessing the quantum field, for reprogramming your reality at the deepest level. And if you're still with me right now, that tells me something important about you. You're not just a casual observer looking for entertainment. You're someone who's genuinely ready for transformation, someone who recognizes that this information isn't random, that somehow you were meant to find this exact message at this exact moment in your journey. If that resonates with you, I'd love to see you in the comments. Just write, "This message found me at the right time." It creates a beautiful energy when we acknowledge these moments of alignment, and honestly, I read every single comment because your experiences and insights add so much depth to this community we're building here. And listen, if this video brought you value, if something shifted inside you while watching, do me a favor and hit that like button. It seems like a small thing, but it genuinely helps this content reach other people who are searching for exactly what you just discovered. There are so many souls out there navigating their own quantum leaps, and your simple click could be what connects them to the information that changes everything. If you haven't subscribed yet, I really encourage you to do that now. This channel is dedicated to bringing you practical, deep content about consciousness, manifestation, and the hidden mechanics of reality. The kind of knowledge that actually creates real change, not just inspiration that fades by tomorrow. Every video is designed to give you tools you can use immediately, techniques that work in the real world, not just in theory. And speaking of which, there's a video right here that takes this even further, diving into specific techniques for maintaining your new frequency even when external circumstances try to pull you back. Click and continue with me over there. I'll see you in the next one.